Okay, guys, good morning here. OJ with the fight rope. We are back. I just returned last night to America, back to the United States of America. And let me tell you, there's no place like being at home or back at home, smelling home. I didn't even make it to the bed, by the way. I made it to the couch. I made it from the kitchen to the couch. And let me tell you, that was the greatest nap, 6 hour nap I had. I think went to bed at 7, woke up at 1 or 12:30 or 1. And here we are. So I'm still on Saudi Arabia time, still on Greece's Mediterranean time, but it's all right. We're here, and I thought, what better time to podcast than when we're right up in the morning. So I would probably be waking up overseas right now in the past couple of weeks, and I just wanted to recap that with you. The experience of Greece. Oh man, wrestling in Greece. I talked about it before leaving. I talked about it before even podcasting in Greece with David Welch. And let me tell you, there's nothing like wrestling in the birthplace of wrestling, with your family there and the people you love cheering and waving your flag, waving the American flag. There's definitely nothing more rewarding than having your family present for that experience, for that victory. I actually, in the first match that I had in Greece, I drew Greece. I wrestled another opponent. My first opponent was from Greece, so it couldn't have been even better for me that I'm in Greece. I've been wanting to do this since I was a little boy, and here I am in Greece, wrestling their style, in the birthplace of wrestling. Even when I was shaking his hand, this is what's going through my mind. So I'm just sharing you my experience of always wanting to wrestle at the birthplace of wrestling, which is Greece, ancient Greece, which is the Olympic style. They created the Olympics, and then the forms of the combat sports, and one first being, of course, wrestling. Their form of wrestling, grappling, pancration, and fathered a lot of sports in the martial arts and the combat sports and the grappling arts. So to be there was just something that it was a dream come true. And then to wrestle someone from Greece and then to beat somebody from Greece was also pretty amazing. It was a hard-fought match. Let me tell you. He was very strong. He didn't move much. Their style of wrestling is not like ours. They tend to wrestle in spurts, like 30 seconds on, a minute off, but they don't move. They hold the center of the mat. They stay in the center of the mat, and they do their best not to exhaust themselves and usually just wait for the American to shoot, because our style of wrestling is an attack style of wrestling, or at least we shoot quite often and reshoot. So they often just wait, from what I saw, and then to counter that with a throw or a roll. So it's just a game that you have to play. He was extremely strong, but I know he was cutting a lot of weight because I had seen him at the resort running that morning, and then being one of the last to weigh in and celebrating his weigh in on the scale. He was so happy. And there I was, just really weighing in at 68 kilos. I don't know why. It was so humid there. I couldn't keep any weight on. So I kept sweating and trying to drink water and hydrate and sweating. And my dad's telling me I'm not eating enough. And my dad's telling me I'm not drinking enough. And I'm like, okay, Pops, I get it. I'm trying my best here. But I mean, at least I'm not that guy. Have you seen what he's been doing all week? He's been killing himself. So I thought I was doing pretty good as far as staying hydrated and eating. For me, I just have these hyper sweat glands, so I sweat a lot. So a simple run or jump rope or a session where I'm just shadow wrestling for 45 minutes, all encompassing movements, and just shaking out the body. I'm in a new country. That right there is where I was losing about 7 pounds of sweat and soaking my sneakers. So making weight wasn't an issue. I ended up being underweight. But when I wrestled the gentleman from Greece, I knew he was going to be drained. So I just used footwork, angles, but when he did grab me, and he did hold on to me very tight. They are very strong, but he just had nothing in the gas tank. He had no energy. It seems like his muscle fibers weren't responding offensively or defensively. He was just extremely strong and just ready to counter wrestle anything I did, from takedowns to throws. So my strategy was to go in to this tournament and not shoot direct shots, you know, where we're 50-50. I wanted to shoot off the angle, a lot like Dominic Cruz talks about fighting off the angle and shooting. It's the same, because MMA, as Dominic Cruz says, is it's just wrestling with the ability to cheat, with the ability to use hands. So you can set up those same angles as you would in MMA to turn him to a knee tap or to an angle off single leg. So that's always been my plan of choice and my tactics going into freestyle wrestling anyway, and internationally even more so, because they're just waiting for us to shoot directly, whether it's a double leg, high crotch, anything that we would just launch forward. So I was using a lot of hand movement, a lot of head movement. Footwork is obviously something that helps in my strategy. So that was really going really well. It was a hard fought match, but I ended up beating him. I don't even know the score. The points were so high, 18-6 maybe. I don't remember. But it was a good match. It was a good scramble. It was a great experience to have my hand raised in front of my family there, all standing in the stands high above, holding the USA banners and their flags and their shirts, and seeing my 5-month-old son also was pretty amazing. You know, seeing him up there, watch his dad wrestle. That's pretty special to me. I'll always have that in my heart and share that with him, even though he's just a baby. He'll also have that forever. You know, seeing his father wrestle in the birthplace of wrestling. So, I look forward to I look forward to more adventures like this with my family, with my children. I realize that it's just something that it's going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life. I've wrestled for 30 years, and I'm going to continue wrestling. I know I didn't get a medal, but we did win team titles. We won the freestyle team title and the Greco team freestyle. Sorry, excuse me, team title. But I personally did not place or receive a medal from first through third, because I got injured in the following round, in the quarterfinal round, where I took a shot. My foot was stuck, and as I took that shot extended, I was rolled through by Grant Nakamura, another American. They seem to pit Americans up a lot early on in the round, and I thought that was unfair, even though it was supposed to be a draw, and it's a random selection, as they say in United World Wrestling. But nothing seemed random, with every wrestler being on the same side wrestling each other. So that being said, I slightly strained and or torn my hamstring. I get that checked out today. It's currently 1:47 a.m. I just woke up, so I'm still on Greece time. I'm still on that Mediterranean Sea time. But I get that checked out today. Hamstring and LCL. It was extremely bruised. It popped as I was rolled through by Grant, and it caused a lot of pain. I wanted to continue wrestling. I just couldn't stand up, and I couldn't move to be ordered to do so. So that was frustrating for me. The doctor came on and sprayed my hamstring with that biofreeze or whatever that is, and still it wasn't working. But they didn't give me the option to wrap it, and so then the doctor called it before I could have it wrapped to continue wrestling. But I was in pretty bad shape. It was pulled pretty hard that I couldn't stand. But I thought with an ibuprofen, crunch an ibuprofen, and some sports tape, I'll be all right. So I had to wait to see if Grant won his next match so that I can continue in. He would pull me back into the tournament because I lost in the quarterfinals by injury default. So next match, Grant wrestles another American named Colum. And Colum goes on to win in our weight class at 70 kilograms. And that's roughly 153 pounds. He ends up winning. So they wrestle in the semis, and Grant breaks his foot on the same mat in where my foot got stuck in between the crevices of the individual mat pieces that make up the mat. They didn't bind down the mats well enough, the tarp that goes over the mats. They didn't bind those down at all. They just held it over the mats like a tarp. And that was causing a lot of injuries on the C mat, which was the very far mat, which is where I got injured, and which is when Grant wrestled when Grant Nakamura wrestled Column in the semifinal round on the same mat. He ended up breaking his foot, where his foot, he lowered his level, took a shot, and broke his foot because it got stuck, and the pressure of Column defending caused that foot to break. So Grant was also injured in the semifinal and had to default out of that match, and then went on to wrap the ankle because he's a tough wrestler, and took third place, took the bronze medal match with one leg, with one foot. So, you know, it happens that way where things don't always go as planned. You train hard. I didn't have, I entered that tournament with all possibility of placing and doing great, but most importantly for me, if I can say, was having fun. Having fun, being there with my father, who's been in my corner my entire life. My dad's been in my corner. Having my father there with me in the birthplace of wrestling. My best friend, David Welch, we've been wrestling around the world 20 years together. We met as teenagers, and we podcasted, if you checked the last episode. Man, having my friend there, my family, my wife, my son, my sisters, my in-laws, Suzette is Dominic Cruz's mom. Having her there to support me meant everything. So I was thankful for the support and the family. I just felt stronger than ever. I felt family was most important to me. So to be injured during that was not planned, and it never is, but it comes with the sport. Injury, it's wrestling. So I know Grant felt extremely saddened when that happened, but it's wrestling. I just wanted Grant to know it wasn't your fault. It's wrestling. It happens. We chose this, and also my dad reminded me as well that I am 40 years old and I am getting older. So I'm sitting on the mat, being seen by the doctor right off the mat, who gives me some more BioFreeze and tells me to sit there, brings me ice, tells me to ice it for 15 minutes, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, what the heck? I am very flexible. I don't know how I got this injury. Why? It shouldn't have happened this way. I could have easily just rolled through without popping it. Why did it pop like that? And then my dad looked at me. I'm on the ground. He's watching the wrestling matches ahead. And then he turns and looks at me. He's like, because you're 40. And I look up and I looked at him and I was like, yeah, you're right. Thank you for reminding me. So my dad reminded me that I am 40 years old, wrestling on the mat, still chasing world titles. So, you know, injury takes place. It doesn't matter if you're 40 or 14, but it's just how you bounce back, you know. I was distraught. I was devastated. I was emotional. I let it out in the back of the arena, and I thought, well, how can I serve? How can I be in service now? I know I can't continue on wrestling even if I wanted to. I wrapped it up. I was ready to go for the next round to make my way back to win a bronze medal. But Grant was injured, so Grant defaulted and lost the match to Column, so I couldn't continue because Grant didn't beat Column. Grant had needed to beat Column for me to be pulled back in to wrestle for a medal, for a bronze medal. So that didn't happen, and it was not the luck of the draw, but it happens. It's life. You know, we move on. We let it go. You have to let it go. I had to let it go in that moment, in real time, in reality. Take a deep breath, cry, get it out. You know, not being able to be on that medal stand and podium and medal in front of my family and give them that. And I felt a little guilty about that because everybody paid the fare to come watch me compete. So when your family comes to watch you compete, I always feel the need to, you know, do my best. And with an injury, I wasn't able to continue in that match nor wrestle on through the tournament. So the best way for me to deal with that transparently in real time is to let it go, is to say, okay, there's next year, Croatia, 2024 Croatia. We're not done. We're going to go to Croatia. We're going to wrestle in Croatia, and we're going to medal. And the goal is to win. The goal is to get gold and to build a team of men and women to go and support and be a part of this event. It's an amazing event where even during this time of war and despair and turmoil and death, countrymen, men that represent their nations in the sport of wrestling can come together and unite. And that is the most beautiful thing that I experienced, which was more important than winning a medal. which was more important than my selfish endeavors. It blew everything away. That focusing out on what was taking place, that there was between mankind, there was a level and equal playing field in Greece, in Latraki, Greece, that maybe the United World Wrestling organization will never know what that meant for me, what that meant for the other competitors there. All of us are aged 35 up to 60, still competing for world titles in our age divisions. It was something else to have that reverenced respect on the mats, at the hotel, at the resort, in the cafeteria, passing by in the small city, in the small town of Latraki, at the venue, when you wrestle each other, when you're in the back warming up, or in the bullpen standing next to each other waiting to wrestle. There was just something comforting knowing that you were all a part of the same team. And so not winning wasn't the worst thing. I learned a lot. Yeah, so I learned a lot. I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot about myself. So I grabbed my camera, the one that's filming this right now. I grabbed my camera, man. I grabbed my camera and I just started taking photos of everybody and videoing everyone, the crowd, Swedish team, a Swedish family member, so team from Germany, a German coach, you know, a German spectator. Just how could I serve? So I went around for the next 4 days of wrestling. So that was Thursday morning. So it's over. It's by 11. I'm done. So I grabbed my camera and I think, what would Dominic Cruz say? What would my bro say? What would he tell me to do? He said, well, when in doubt, focus out. So I thought, how can I serve everybody else that I'm here? I can't warm up with Ben Care. I can't warm up with my friends. I can't be on the mats, but I can serve them in the capacity of being right there, present, stepping out of myself and being present for the other teammates, the other American teammates, and just being present in the time right there. My family's still there. My father's still there. I'm here. I'm not done. I'm here to work. I'm still in wrestling, and the intensity is still here. Let's keep it going. So I grabbed my camera and I went to work. I had 2 batteries. I had 3 disc cards that you can exchange in your camera, and I burned through it all. I burned through it all every day, taking photos for Team USA, giving the team all their content, taking photos and videos for other teams, other nations, other federations, Russia, Georgia, Hungary, Germany, Sweden, you name it, Azerbaijan, Egypt. It was a great, Iran, Iraq. We were all there together under the banner of wrestling, and that was the most amazing thing that I could have experienced during a time where around the world it's chaos, it's war, it's death, and here we are in brotherhood under the banner of the sport of wrestling, brought together in the United World Wrestling organization, and here we are sharing this together, sharing this camaraderie, this brotherhood, this. We don't have to kill each other to compete, but with competition, it's like an exchanging of your souls. I can't explain it. When you go to the depths of your soul in competition with another person, with another man. And maybe that's why we do it. Maybe that's why I still compete. It's for nothing more than to remind myself that there's that human connection. So yeah, that was an amazing experience for me to develop that human connection with another person, another man from another country who I just met, and to see it displayed in that whole arena, in that city, in that town, in the country of Greece, was quite amazing. And I wouldn't change it for the world. My family got to experience that. We're exchanging federational sweaters, jackets, hoodies. It doesn't matter. We're just in that space where we feel safe. Actually, the vulnerability of that unity brought us safety for that week in Greece, and it was something that I had never felt before internationally during times of war and strife and foolishness, foolish fighting, where there's separation. Uh, it's void of anything you're seeing on the news or reading or looking on your phone. And we were one. We were one under the banner of wrestling. So yeah, that's that community, this community in general, and as I talk about the overall experience of Greece, in general, the community of wrestling, combat sport, where you just tap into one another, you go somewhere together, and that's special. So yeah, I'm grateful for the experience that I have, and to compete it around the world for the past 20 years. I've been doing this since I was 19, so 21 years I started competing in the Navy. Spent my first year in the Navy on deployment overseas in the Middle East during the 03 Operation Iraqi Freedom, and then Operation Enduring Freedom. So when I got back, the ability to wrestle, the opportunity to wrestle for the next 3 years was just amazing. So to have started international wrestling at such a young age and to still be doing it, I'm eternally grateful. Grateful to my family for their support. I'm grateful to Team USA for always allowing me to represent our country, our nation. And I'm grateful for the sport of wrestling, for the unity that it brings between us with other countrymen, with men from other nations, men from other wrestling federations around the world. That just, it's so, you would think, who would think a simple sport, something as wrestling, simple as wrestling, could bring us together, and unify us in a way to where there's no hate. It doesn't even exist. It's actually only love. It's like there's void of anything that is destructive. It's a community where it's forged through such durability, such mental fortitude, not just the physicality of wrestling, but the mental fortitude that comes with the sport. And it's something that you can't fake it. You can't buy it. You have to earn it, and that's what it is. You got to earn it. And so that's what I want to do. I want to feel that feeling, and I want to bring that feeling home and have it here, have that felt. You're like, I want to feel that with my family, with friends, and I want to continue serving in the way I did in Greece. And sorry, I'm crying like a little child. But I want to build that community here. And we have that here in clubs like Thoroughbred Wrestling Club, in which my children were a part of. Shoot, I was one of the very first. I was a part of that club 23 years ago under Coach Michael Douglas and his brother David Douglas. And then we have Valiant, and we have Arizona State. We have a lot of programs. We have a lot of opportunity. Now that I'm home, eagerness, the ability to want to grow and build upon this, and to bring that camaraderie home, to bring that home, to live that every day in service to others, and to teach that, and to develop that for our youth. So we don't have to become nations that are warring with each other. We're neighbors. We're the same. We're one. We're one. We're mankind. We're humankind. Let's be that. And thank you for tuning in. This is OJ with the Fight Road Podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode.